Welcome back to this latest installment in our MSP Control Panel series. My name is Aaron and I'm a technical support specialist here at VirtuWorks. Today's topic is going to cover Exchange email management from within the control panel. This video assumes that the viewer is comfortable logging into the control panel using their peer account. If this sounds unfamiliar, please refer to the first video in the series titled Control Panel Accessing and Navigating, where those topics are covered. We could proceed by logging into the CP and authenticating with the texted or emailed code or even the Authenticator app. Here in the control panel, many resources are grouped together or linked in logical ways. We showed an example of this in the previous video where I demonstrated how the Exchange settings can be accessed from within the user profile. On the main page of the CP, there's an entire section dedicated to the Exchange settings. Let's start by clicking on the mailboxes icon within the Exchange section or by using the nav pane to the left. Expand the heading for organizations, then click on Exchange or Exchange Online if your company uses Office 365 Exchange. There you will see matching links for all of the icons within that grouping. We'll click on Mailboxes. The next page will display a list of all email accounts set up for the organization. There are similar options here that will look familiar to those who have been in the users portion of the CP or watched the previous video in the series. Just as when in the users console, the accounts can be selected along the left side with a check mark. Clicking the check mark at the top of the column will put a check on all accounts listed on that page only. Once an account or accounts are selected, the Actions drop-down will have commands that can be run against the selection by clicking the Apply button. The mailbox can also be deleted by clicking the trash can icon to the far right, but this only removes the email account. The user is given the option to archive the inbox during that procedure. The All Locations button will filter out email addresses by domain. Let's access a user's mailbox settings page by clicking on their name. This will open up a new page, also very similar to the user profile page, but more email-centric in focus. The page typically opens to the Settings tab. We'll come back to this in a moment, but let's cover the General tab first by clicking on it at the top left. Here in the General tab of the User Exchange mailbox, we can see how very similar this page is to the User Profile General tab. Towards the top, we see the same options for display name, password changes, and all the other settings. One difference is that towards the top, there's an option to set a thumbnail photo. Now, let's head back to the settings page. Here's where the settings are more email focused than on the user profile. There's some options at the top to hide the account from the global address book, disable the mailbox, and enable security and/or metrics. There's a drop-down box to change the type of email account plans available to the organization. Please consult with your VirtuWorks representative for guidance concerning changing plans. The disclaimer drop-down allows for the selection of pre-canned disclaimers or other legally required verbiage that can be appended to each email sent from the account. The signature drop-down similarly allows for the storage of a signature block that can be appended to each outgoing email. There's a section in the CP dedicated to creating these disclaimers and signatures. Down below, there are two graphics that display the mailbox usage and the amount of storage allocated to recoverable data. Retention policy and journaling should be left untouched unless specified by VirtuWorks. And as always, click Save Changes or Save Changes and Exit after making any modification to the account. The next page, Rules, allows the creation, modification, deletion, or assignment of pre-established mail rules. There is typically a rule set for all companies that specifies that any message with the word spam in the header will be sent to the junk email folder. Consulting with VirtuWorks is recommended before making any changes in this tab. Moving on, the next tab is Email Addresses. This tab can be used to create aliases for the account. If the user has a difficult to spell email address based on their name, an alias can be created with a simpler or more easily entered name. All messages addressed to either the original name or the alias will be delivered to the inbox. There are no limits to the amount of aliases that an account can have. The next tab, Mailflow Settings, allows the account to be forwarded or to apply permissions allowing delegation of the account. More of this on the next tab. The options on the bottom allow the account to be limited to internal email by setting a whitelist of permitted users. There's an option to force receipt of only authenticated senders, as well as an option to blacklist senders at the bottom. On the Permissions tab, email access to the currently selected account can be delegated to other users. There's 5 different features that can be assigned to give access to the other users to assist with message load, replying to emails as either themselves, send on behalf, or as the original account holder, send as. The text box beside each setting is a self-filtering search bar. Start typing the first few letters of a user's first or last name, and the list will filter out all results that do not match, leaving only those that do. Multiple people can be added, but care should be taken with who is provided access, as that person will see all emails received into the account they have been delegated access to. Once the names have been selected and are in the search field, click the Add button to make that selection permanent. Calendar access has a few extra permissions that fine-tune the level of control the delegated user has over the calendar. These permissions can limit the user to just being able to view the calendar all the way up to full ownership. Once all options are set, hit the Save or Save and Exit button. The Out of Office tab has a WYSIWYG text editor, where an out-of-office message can be composed and enabled. There's an option for both internally received messages as well as external ones. Setup Instructions provides a way to send the mailbox user an email that has their account info displayed, as well as some instructions for setting up the email in a mail client. That concludes the management of a user's mailbox in the CP, but not all of the manageable options available within the scope of the Exchange panel. We can head back to the main page for the menu icons or use the nav pane to the left to access other modules in the panel. Most are intended for internal use, but we will cover the more common sections. From the main page and under Exchange or Exchange Online, the next icon past mailboxes is Contacts. Clicking on the icon will bring up the Contacts panel where the email addresses from external users can be added. This is useful if you want to add someone to a distribution list, but they are not an employee of the organization. And that tightly segues us to the distribution list panel. This page lists all of the distribution lists created for the organization. If the term distribution list is unclear, the best way I can define it would be to call it an inward bound email address that can be delivered to multiple recipients. For example, a sales department can have a list with all sales team members added to it. All emails sent to sales@yourcompany.com will be delivered to all the users in the list, but the sender will not see the individual email accounts the list delivers to. As mentioned in the previous section concerning contacts and using the same example, a vendor for the company can be added as a contact and then added to a distribution list. Along the top of the page on the distribution list panel, the first button allows for the creation of a new list. The Import from AD button is used during migrations, so should only be used by VirtuWorks. The Send Distribution List report allows the user to supply an email address that they would like to have a report sent listing all of the distribution lists set up for the company and the members. Similar to the User General tab, there are actions that can be run against the selection of distribution lists in the list. Finally, there's the All Locations drop-down box where the user can filter between multiple email domains in the event that the company has more than one email domain. Clicking on the New Distribution List button opens the dialog for setting up a new list. There's a field to enter the display name, and then on the next line we define the name of the distribution list and select which domain it's attached to. This must be a unique identifier and cannot match any other account or alias in the organization. The Manage By field is a self-filtering search box. Start typing the name of the user that is intended to manage the list and their name will now appear in the box. If the incorrect user was selected, the X to the right of their name will remove them. There can be more than one manager if desired. Once all fields are populated and confirmed, click the Create Distribution List button. Users are added after the list is created. To manage an existing distribution list, click on its name from the list and the Edit Distribution List page will be displayed. At the top, the Display Name field should already be populated, but it is able to be modified here. Next is a checkbox for setting the option to not display the distribution list in the address book. The Manage By field lists the users assigned to manage the list. Location will be set to the specific location if the distribution list is germane to that location. The next section allows the users to be added to the list. This box also has the self-filtering ability to remove search results that don't match the search criteria being entered. Once the user's name is shown, it can be clicked on to add to the selection. When done adding users, click the Add button. Add any desired notes to the last field on this page, then click Save Changes or Save Changes and Exit. One final section of potential use to a company is the Signature Management panel. This interface allows for the creation of signature templates that contain variable fields. The fields can be populated dynamically by accessing the account information for the individual users, negating the need to recreate separate signatures for each user. This ensures that consistency is maintained with uniformity of the company's branding, as well as assuring that the signature information is accurate even if certain parameters change over time, like extension number, job title, or even a name change. And that about wraps up this installment in the MSP Control Panel series. Hopefully this information will be useful for staff members assigned to carry out tasks regarding Exchange account management. Please be sure to keep an eye out for other topics in this series where we will cover the different ways a delegated peer user can manage IT resources. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to receive an alert when new content is released. Again, my name is Aaron, and I thank you for joining me today.